So yeah, the next thing, you know, there's this YouTuber. You guys might have heard of him, right? May or not. He's kind of big. He has like 600, 700,000 subscribers. His name is Daquan Wiltshire, and he's been having a lot of viral tweets lately that have been very out of pocket. You know, he's kind of getting in that. I kind of feel like he's like tweet baiting right now. He's really baiting, trying to pick up some kind of, like, dudes do that. They call it like view farming or like farming, where they're just like,
what do you say?
Tweet controversial shit. So he said a couple things. But the first thing that he said is, so someone sent a post that said, "Men only, give the ladies some relationship advice." And he commented, "Your past matters. No matter how much y'all try to shame men online for not wanting a woman with a promiscuous past, it'll never change the fact that men typically don't want them. You're not sexually nor romantically involved with your friends, so stop listening to them." This sounds like some manosphere stuff to me, but it got 2.3 million views, got over 1,200 bookmarks. Like, people were getting engaged on this.
Now, I tend to agree with what he said, though. I tend to agree with what he said.
My thing is, like, first off, like, how are you even going to know about somebody's past? Like, unless they decide.
Because you ask.
You going to interrogate somebody? Like,
no, you just ask.
How many dicks you sucked and how many blah, 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 blah. Like, that's kind of I don't know, man. That's kind of red pillish to me. And
when he's talking about the past, we're not talking about every single performative action you've ever done, every single sexual,
it's like weird to me,
interaction you've ever had. We're not talking about that. Past, we're talking about bodies. Like, that's normally what we're talking about. Like, how many bodies you got? I don't think that's a question that's out of the norm.
Dudes can be ran through too, but you don't, because, like, what is ran through? Like, dudes will always say this thing, "Well, dude, she probably got miles and miles of
man can be ran through
like
too?
this stupid, like this, the stupid shit I've seen on Twitter is like, dude, she probably got miles of pole and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, like, let's, like, because my thing is, like, if you can't tell, like, their problem with their mentality, I think a lot of these dudes are, when they're like, "Oh, she's ran through," it's like, "Oh, she's probably gonna cheat on me. There's probably 20 dudes in her DMs."
Projecting.
What do you mean project? What do you mean projecting?
That's what they're doing. I thought that's what you were saying. Go ahead and keep going.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you think that she's gonna cheat on you, that's one thing. But, like, worrying about whether she's ran through, what if she's a loyal person?
That's what I was saying. It's projecting. You don't see what I'm saying?
She's a solid woman that is a ride or die. It doesn't matter how quote unquote ran through she is. If she's a cheater,
kind of does matter though.
And she just hooks up with all these dudes, why are you even talking to her?
I think it does matter a little bit.
I think you got to be more specific about that. That's all I'm saying.
I think it does matter. I personally care about the history of a person. Like, if I'm trying, it doesn't matter what the relationship is. If it's a sexual relationship, I'm going to ask what your sexual relationship history is. If it's a friendship, I'm going to ask what your friendship with the history is. I don't think, like, are you trustworthy? Like, you could start to deduce a lot of things from a person's history. We do that with everything. So I don't understand why in this regard, maybe because it's more private.
Right.
Sexual history is more private, that people feel like this question is a little bit too out there, a little bit too, it's invasion of privacy. I don't know what it is. But me personally, I ask people at this point in life, I ask people, like, what's your sexual history? We're getting to a point where people start to have a little bit more sexual history. I want to know those things. I mean, STDs are a big thing. Like, if you slept with 100 people, you gonna feel comfortable dating someone who slept with 100 people?
If they was
Stop
like...
the cap. Stop the cap. You didn't have to think about it. If you thought about it, you know the answer.
All right, bro. Like,
what?
But what's the, like? My question is, like, she slept with 100 people. What is the issue? Like, what's the deeper issue?
So that's why I asked you. You gonna date somebody who slept with 100 people? You gonna eventually try to marry that person?
Yeah, she ride or die and she loyal and
Interesting.
What's the problem? And she not
that's interesting.
Worried about other dudes.
I'm
what's
not doing
the problem?
I wonder what your cap is. What about 200?
It's not gonna be a cap because I doubt she keeps records of that anyway. So how could you even
stop.
come up with a number?
People know.
People don't know
how many people they've slept with.
Well, you know what? This is my answer. If you don't have a definitive count, then it's too much. Fine, whatever. Even if you knew it was 100, that's different than I lost count.
So your number is just that's funny. Your number is not a number. It's just as soon as you lose count.
As soon as you lose count, it's too
that's
much.
Crazy.